Okay. So I got into UAL as I have found out today. So I'm going to do a portfolio and interview explanation of what I did. I also got into Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, Uni of Bournemouth, and then also Rose Bruford College. Now, Bournemouth was a last choice. No shade, but it was a last choice mainly just because of location. Nothing to do with the actual uni itself, because I live in London. Rose Bruford was also more of a last choice. I did really love it though when I went to visit. It was really cool. I liked it a lot actually. And I said when I went to do my interview, I said I would definitely go here if I don't get into the other places. I didn't have anything against going. It was very similar to Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. It had a very similar vibe, so I didn't have anything against going. It was just because of location again, because it was more difficult to get to. And then also Royal Central School of Speech and Drama was my second choice. I want to say definitely I was very I basically thought I'm gonna go there because I didn't think I was gonna get into UAL, and that's not because I don't think I'm good enough to get into UAL, but it's because I just was I know the acceptance rates is not insanely high, and I don't know, I was just a bit worried, so I was kind of just settling with the fact I'm probably gonna go to Royal Central. But I really liked it there as well. Also it's closer. Then UAL, dream school, always wanted to go. This is obviously because it's a costume course. It's for Wimbledon College of Arts. It's not for Central St. Martin's or LCF, these really, really high praise campuses or unis. Because I'm doing a costume course, mine is theatre based. It's not fine art, it's not fashion, so it's different. Also, Edinburgh was my other choice. I'm still waiting on an email. I applied a couple weeks ago. Not applied, I submitted my portfolio a couple weeks ago, so I'm still waiting for that. When I was applying, I couldn't find a fucking guidance. I couldn't find a portfolio, a costume portfolio that wasn't one of someone who's left uni. There was maybe one girl I saw, but she had already done work experience that I didn't have the opportunity to do because I'm 17, turning 18 this year. I've been doing my A-levels. I didn't have the opportunity to go and make costumes for a theatre production or for a youth group or something. So I didn't have that. So I was kind of clueless. So I was really going off of fashion and fine art and other ones I've seen, and then making it my own as well, just putting the work in that I know I'm good at, and the stuff I have. If you're watching this and you're not applying yet, but you're applying next year, first thing, you want to make sure you have some shit up your sleeve, because I'm doing a fine art A-level, I'm doing media studies BTEC, and then I'm also doing English lit. Now, English lit isn't really related. It was good for my personal statement, but media was, I put an example of my media work for my portfolio, and then I also did my fine art stuff as well. I think basically everything here apart from one project is based off my fine art. I was able to try and start doing garments and making clothes and working on corsets and shit. Oh my god, this is falling. The sky is falling down. I was trying to move to a more textile based work because I knew if I wanted to apply I would have to have something like that, and I didn't have anything like that. I was doing fine art I only was doing painting and drawing. So when I started moving to 3D stuff, it was about a year ago. I think it was genuinely February time, so it was genuinely a year ago, and I did all this stuff over that time, and it got me in. So maybe you do that stuff. So first slide, this is just a title slide, whatever. It's just this little piece that I made is a mock-up of my final design. It was just an experiment. I didn't want to put my final piece first. I wanted them to see it later, but just see an example of my process. Because a big thing that I was noticing with every single place was that it's not just about final work, it's about process. And you get told this when you're doing your A-levels, it's about process, about how you got there. Because if your final piece is not the most amazing thing in the world, they're going to be like, okay, so, but like, what do you have that shows us that you could maybe make it the best thing in the world, you didn't have the resources? Or if it is the best thing in the world, how did you make it the best thing in the world? Like, what got you there? They want to see the process. They want to see how you research. I put that there, did a little SketchUp of it, included a couple Pinterest pictures, like literally just that came from the mood board that I made for this project I was doing. Put your name, put the title of the course you're doing, put the projects you're putting in. I did it project wise. I know some people do it differently, but that's the way my brain works. I put it in projects, which is why I was tweaking out for the Edinburgh one, because that's not how they wanted me to lay it out. They wanted me to lay it out differently. So anyway, I did it in projects. That's fine. They give you 25 slides. This is 23 slides. 3 or 4 of these slides have no work on them. They just are title pages. So I basically did like 20 slides. Next slide, it was just the first project. I just put a little like whatever. This was just like another title slide. It was just a still from the short film I made or like my group made. Like I shot it, I edited it, so I put it in. So I started with a mood board, just like a little process. So this was literally the mood board that I made for the actual thing. Like this is genuinely the stuff I did. Like a little bit of writing on it, like why was I doing this? What was it for? How was I inspired? Like beauty trends, like what fashion I was looking into to style the people in my short film. Everything else that I did was actually making the real clothes and drawing, but this was styling and it was different. I kind of put this in the beginning because I knew that it was different from what other people might have. Like I know I've seen people's portfolios for fashion and I know that, you know, people make stuff and they have shit that they've made, but they might not have a short film where they got to style for it. Like, you know what I mean? They might not have something where they got to do the makeup, where they got to help do the hair, like stuff like that. Next slide is stills from the film itself. So like just the stills I took and edited with the colouring and stuff. I put like, as you can see, I put like the plaid, why we did plaid. I put the lashes, why we did those lashes, like those are the lashes from the time. I included a little advert from the 70s that her hair, what her hair was like. Why was it like that? Oh, because that's how hair was like in the 70s. Like, that's what I did. And that's literally the last slide. The other slide I included was the short film itself, like the finished short film, just to show like that I can complete a project like that. This was the project I did a year ago now. It was the first one I did that was actually 3D work, and we were forced to do 3D work. It had to be 3D. So it was kind of my opportunity to like experiment with, can I do textiles? Can I do this type of thing? And I did. And it's arguably my best project. I started with a photo shoot. When I was going through this, the tutor that I was with that was helping me told me, like, you do a lot of photo shoots, whether they're of you or of other things, and then you edit them. Like, if someone takes a picture of you and then you edit it, like, you have a lot of pictures. Not everybody has loads of pictures. Put the pictures in. Wrote about a little bit about the project. Not loads, but just like keywords like womanhood, texture, looking at shape, like personal growth, that type of thing, like the words I included. And then I just put in like the painting, like here's the outcome. I did a little painting of it to kind of experiment with colour. And I also put, for all of your stuff, this was not something I did at first because I didn't really think about it, but put in the dates that you did everything. So like if you did something in February, put that you did it in February, because then they can see how long a project took you. They can see like, oh, you did this 4 months ago, great, it's recent. Or like they can see, oh, you did this 10 months ago, but then later they can see, oh, you did this thing 1 month ago, so clearly you've grown and you've changed and like you've developed your ideas and you've learned from what you've done in the past. Right, it's a painting, right, that it's acrylic, right, that it's a sketch, 20-minute sketch. Like, put in all the information, just like a little caption. I want to mention that I put more writing than I've seen other people do, because this was a costume course and they did say actually that they wanted more writing, and that wasn't something they mentioned for a fashion portfolio. So I made sure to kind of explain things a little bit more than just what meets the eye. Next slide, like, I developed my ideas. This was the sketches I did, including like all the annotations. Didn't include like bits of fabric, didn't include like texture or like pattern, because I do that later. So I didn't do it for this, but I did put the designer I was inspired by, I put the film I was inspired by, wrote a little bit about the film, because I am, as I said, a media student, so it's like connected to that because I have an interest in film, and also having an interest in film shows interest in costume. So like, for example, when I was doing this, the guide to doing a portfolio for costume is you want to have inspirations from films or shows or productions or anything like that, like things you've gone to see that you really found interest in, whether that's an exhibition or just going to the cinema and liking that film that you saw. Put like that inspiration, because it shows that you care about not just the costume, but like you have an interest in the industry itself, not just the one thing that you're doing. Then these were like pictures. It was pictures we did for the music video that we were doing for media, and I edited them to make them like darker and whatever. And when I was doing my interview, I told the woman this, because this was the project that I was explaining, and I told her like, these are pictures that got taken of me, but like I edited them to give it more contrast and give it a darker vibe, because that was a thing we were kind of going for. I included a bunch of like these pomegranate studies because they were relevant to this work, and I was looking at like color and contrast, and I wanted to show like where I got my inspiration from, like why did I do this white and red combo, like where did that come from? Oh, it came from the idea of flesh and blood. It came from the idea of pomegranates, like the difference and the contrast in like the red and the white, like that. I wanted to show like that's where it came from. And then in the corner I wrote like, this is oil pastel, this is pencil, this is acrylic, this is watercolor, like all of them, to show that I have skill in different medias. The next thing is just the process of the mock that I did. I literally just found these pictures in my camera roll because I kept taking pictures of this stuff because it kept developing, and I was like, where the fuck is this project gonna go? Because I've never done this before. But please take pictures of your process and include them in the thing. Maybe you don't want to do it like this, you feel like you're wasting space. Put a caption, put like a bit of like fabric that you were inspired by, or like something on there, like just to show that it means something. When I was explaining it to her, like I didn't know how to fucking make a corset, but I did know how to fucking paper mache, so I worked with what I had and what I knew I could do in the short time that I had to make this project, and it came out great. So you want to talk about like when you're doing the interview, you want to talk about, if they ask you to talk about a project, you want to say how you overcame things, like you struggled but you pursued and like you got the outcome that you wanted. If you had to change something because you met an issue, talk about that change. Don't be afraid to say that you fucked up a couple times, and then you can just say, but I overcame it, but I learned from it, and then in my next project I did better and it took me less time because I knew that I would face this issue and I avoided the issue. Like, mention that you kind of overcome those things. This slide is just like a little mood board. That in the middle was the final like mock-up piece before I did the final actual piece, and then I just put like bits from my mood board, because for this project I didn't like put a mood board on the thing, so I included it here instead. And like, oh, the bold reds, variant fabrics, texture, like just the stuff I was looking into that inspired me. And I did my final piece. This was the final piece. You know what, you can see that for yourself. Just a bunch of pictures, making sure the background is white, they can see it, good quality pictures. You want the pictures to be good, you don't want them to be fucking blurry or out of focus or like shitty quality. Like, make sure they're good. Show like different ways around, because it's a 3D piece. Like, you can see the front, but can you see the back? How does it look from the back? How does it look from the side? How does it look close up? So just take a bunch of pictures, put them in like a little collage. You're chilling. When I was explaining this, I was talking about issues I faced, how I edited things, blah blah. You can read what I wrote. It's not that relevant, to be honest, but I just wanted to include it. Yeah, just talk about how you overcame things. Next project was the Swan Lake designs I did in like the end, like December. I went to see Swan Lake, Matthew Bourne's Swan Lake in, I can't remember where I went, but I went to see it and I was like, oh my god. When I watched it, I was genuinely crying. Like, it was so amazing and I was genuinely so inspired by it. And I have a history with ballet, like, from my childhood. Like, I was a ballerina and I quit only a few years ago. But I have a massive interest in ballet. Low-key, like, the dream job is to work for like a ballet company. I made sure to bring that up. So if they ask you like, what's your dream job, like where do you see yourself in 5 years, one place asked me that question. And if they don't ask you, because UAL didn't ask me this, but if they don't ask you what your dream job is, fucking bring it up. Say that you have like a bigger aspiration than just going to this uni. What do you want to achieve when you leave? Why are you getting this degree? Why do you want to go here? Like, you want to go here because you want to have the degree to go and do something even bigger and even more insane. They're going to ask you, what have you been to see recently? You can say, I went to this exhibition, I went to this thing, I saw this film. This film, I want to go into film one day. That's why I'm doing this course. I want to go and I want to work in film and TV. That's why I'm doing the course. Or I want to work in theatres. That's why I'm doing the course. And bring up like a specific thing that inspired you and that you really, really love and enjoy. Because they want to see passion. Like, they don't just want to see skill. Because you can be skilled, but you can have no passion. If you have no passion, there's no point in you doing it. Because you are not going to do well if you don't want to do well. Sure, you have a passion. Talk about things you like. Talk about things you've seen. It's really easy. Like, imagine you're just talking about hobbies. You're telling a friend that you went to see this production and you loved it. Just be like that. Don't be afraid to be loud, to talk a lot. They want to see you talk a lot. They want to see you passionate. So this was just a bunch of writing. I probably should have included some work on this page, but whatever. I talked about queer interpretation of art. I wanted to include it because it's sort of more of a cultural thing. They want to see cultural impact. So if you have, like, if you want to look into your family history, like your, like the country you come from, like, I can't fucking do that, bitch. I'm white. Like, I didn't have that. And the one thing that I always talk about, because it's the one thing that really affects me, is womanhood. Like, always talking about female expectations. That's been such a big part of my project. But I want to talk about maybe queerness because it's maybe something that's a bit less talked about. And I mentioned that when I was talking about Swan Lake, is that Swan Lake was originally not meant to be queer, like it was made a million years ago, but the Matthew Bourne one is a queer interpretation of it, and it is subverting gender norms. So I spoke about that and how, like, that kind of thing. I was geeking out. I was like, this is so amazing, I love this fucking show, like that type of shit. So anyway, I was talking about Chapel Row, and she linked in because she's a lesbian, love that diva, that's my queen, and she did a Swan Lake look. So I was like, damn, two birds with one stone, let's talk about Matthew Bourne too. And then, yeah, I was talking about all of this. So just, like, you can see, like, there's so much inspiration in here, like, so much shit that inspired me, because I'm a passionate person. I love everything. I love so many types of media. I listen to all types of music, watch all types of films. I love theatre, I love ballet, like everything, right? So put that in your work. If you like these things, talk about them. I'm sure if you're a big fashion girly but you want to do costume because you don't really want to do fashion, but you know about fashion, you know about designers, write about the designers. Say you went to see an exhibition, say you went to go see something, talk about your favorite designer. You want to talk about inspiration and development processes. Very important to interview and your work. Just another mood board. Talks about, as you can see, it literally says personal history of ballet, love for film and theatre. I was also inspired by Black Swan, the film. So it was Black Swan, the film, and also the theatre production of Swan Lake. So it was both, because obviously they're related, duh. So, like, I put them together. In my mood boards, and this is the same for my 70s mood board, I included a still from the film. I put a painting that I did in there, just so that it wasn't just a mood board, it was also my own work, just to show, like, here's the mood board, here's the piece. Then next thing was just designs, pictures I was inspired by, mini mood boards everywhere, shove in, like, feathers, texture, like fucking everything. Just put everything in it. Like, literally make your design, make a color board, like put a color scheme, put textures, put patterns, put random bits of paint, like put anything on there just to show you're inspired. I literally cannot stress out. I know I keep talking about it, but it's because every single time I go to a new slide, there's another thing that shows my inspiration. I literally put it on every single slide. Because this was a mini project, I didn't put in like 5 different drawings. I just put in one, because then the next slide is my other one, and like this was the main outcome of this project in separate slides, because like this was the big part. Same layout, same everything, just inspiration by a different thing. Next thing were these pictures. So these pictures was not to do with this project, but it was to do with Swan Lake. It was the same day as the filming for our music video that we were doing for media. That was about the black and white swan, and I was the white swan. So I put these pictures in. These pictures were not mine. I said that when I submitted it. In like the little caption, like that they give you a little caption, and I said these pictures aren't mine, but I edited them. Second slide, same thing. Now this was the big project I did at the end. The way I've done every single one is gone inspiration, like immediately mood board, okay, or some sort of like beginning sparks of something, and then pictures I took for inspiration, like a photo shoot I did or something, and then studies into artists or studies into films or theatre productions, and then studies like drawings that I've done of things, and then final piece. That's how I did, I'm pretty sure, every single project. There's 4 projects. This is the last one. Once again, mood board with an edited picture inspired by an artist. I was inspired by Miss Havisham. Like I was inspired by Priscilla because I went to see Priscilla last year, and I was actually thinking about it when I was doing the project, like because for this project I was thinking about weddings, like that sort of thing. Then this was the mock-up I did, the mock-up I spoke about at the beginning. Before I did this mock-up, I did like fabric samples. I actually did more than these samples, but I didn't include them because they were not as nice and not as relevant to the piece as these were. And then I also wrote about Miss Havisham, little character study, little bit like here are all the different versions, like here's a quote from the book about her, here's an analysis from a feminist lens, because once again, all of my stuff was about womanhood. I wrote about it. I wrote about how the character is meant to be one thing but been reinterpreted and changed because of how it's outdated now. And I feel like that's the thing that separates costume and fashion, is the character studies, the looking into film and looking into theatre and looking into real life actual projects that exist already, and then like doing a character study on them. With the Swan Lake one, I put each design on a different slide. This one I put all 3 because it wasn't the final product, so I put these 3. I went to the V&A and incorporated some of the shit I saw in the V&A to these designs and to my final project. So I put in those little things I saw, and I just wrote V&A, visit to the V&A. I was inspired by these dresses that I saw. Included some bits of fabric, patterns, color palettes, the idea, like colored them in, like everything. I love these sketches. They're not the most amazing thing in the whole entire world, but they worked, and they did very much inspire my final piece. Last thing, this page's layout is the exact same as the other final piece I did, and that's why I separated them, because I didn't want them to look too samey. This was my last slide on the whole portfolio, and I put this last because it's my big piece. It's got the lace, it's got the flowers, it's got the layering of the skirt, has a sleeve, like has more, right? It has more going on. So that's why I put it last. You need to put like a character study. You need to include like these small details that don't go into other portfolios, because you want to show you're a costume person, not a fashion person, not an art person, but a costume person. Another thing also, when I was doing the interview in the beginning, I wrote a bunch of notes beforehand about favorite directors, about films I've seen, about what I'm inspired by, and it was all like true, but it was like, I'm not gonna remember all this. I wanna, like, if I'm doing an online interview, like, I'm gonna have this in the background, but I never mentioned any of the notes I wrote down, because when I was talking, I was just talking straight from like the heart and the brain. Like, I was just genuinely going based off actual, like, love for something, like, actual memory of it. Like, when I was talking about Swan Lake, when I was talking about theatre, like, all of that stuff, it was, like, straight from, like, my brain. Like, I did not have to think about it for a second. It just came out because that's, like, my thing. Like, I know what I want to say. The only notes I have is, like, if they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to do with your future? Tell them a big dream you have, even if it sounds insane. Even if it sounds like something you could never do. Just fucking say it. Because they love an overachiever. They love someone being passionate about something, as does every single uni. If they ask you, why did you come to this specific place? My answer usually is, there's a theatre here. You do group projects. I work amazing in a group environment. I'm good at doing group projects. I love working with people, which is kind of something that, like, I remember saying this kind of something that separated fashion and costume for me, was the idea of working with a big team, working on a big final outcome that isn't just a runway or isn't just my own design, but like a big project, like with actors and set designers, like all of this, like show that interest in, like, that, in the idea of theatre and film. Mention, oh, this course offered different things from what other unis offered. Mention maybe that it's your first choice. If it is, say it's my first choice because of this reason. And also, if they ask any, because what they'll ask you is, do you have any questions? And you don't ever want to say no. Just say, what job offers, like, what can I get work experience? What is the offer? Like, can I take a year out? Can I go for a summer? And will you give me somewhere to work for a summer? Do I have a choice in where I work? Do you offer, like, what do you offer? Who are your connections? How easy is it going to be for me to get a job when I leave? Like, am I going to have those connections? Ask about class sizes, stuff like that. If you've been looking for a costume portfolio advice and application process, I hope this helped, because I needed it. I really needed it. I did not have anyone to ask about it. So, yeah. Hopefully I will start filming and posting again soon, because it's been about a month since my last video. So I'll get on my grind soon. Bye!